It's time to feed the beast. Hello and welcome back to the shipyard. We are on episode 3 now. We've got to clean up a few things. As you can see here, I am filling in the water because I got mad at the water. I tried to bucket it out, gave up. But we're going to do some more high-speed work here so that one can enjoy this another round of me goofing around, really. Um, I did want to save all this water, but in the end, I decided I really needed to get this dry dock finished, and I couldn't really wait to have the red power pumps to pump the water in to the holding facility that will be built. It'll be built off screen because it's going to all be underground, and it's just really hard for me to record a bunch of underground stuff, and it's really boring. I'm going to carve out a giant square room. But here I decided that I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of the water and dig out the rest of this dry dock so that so we know how big it is. I'm just putting my mining drill to good use. I kept running out of sand and I didn't feel like going back and getting more. So we're just doing the old fill it in with sand trick. You can see sort of to the bottom of the screen there's the water. That water is the water of the ocean. And this dry dock is going to come right up to 1 block from that water. And then we're going to build using red power frames and frame motors. We're going to build a way to open and close gates. It's probably going to be one big giant gate only because of the positioning of the blast furnace and coke oven building. But we're going to have a way to open this up and make it as functional as we possibly can. Some of you did point out that there is a Zeppelin mod or something to that effect that would let me move a large ship, and that's true, there is one. The problem is loading it onto this server is not an easy task. Feed the Beast is very different than Tekkit and very different than vanilla Minecraft and how it accepts mods. So I just have to kind of have a play and see if that's even possible. I'm going to build as though it's not possible, and then if it is possible, then great. If not, then we won't really lose anything. When it comes to the building for the coke oven, I really started to hate that building with an absolute hatred. It's just giant, monolithic, ugly looking structure. So that is going to come down. I've also I need to get those tanks out of there now that I've put them there. I do have to clean them off, and there I'm making a mess. Shocking. We also are going to have to build a blacksmith shop. Now I'm hoping, well, in this episode, we're going to fix the coke oven building because it needs to be fixed. We're going to finish up the log entry area, so where the logs come down from above, that crane we built towards the end of last episode. We're gonna work on that so that we have a place for the logs when they come down out of the jungle. I know this is really boring to watch me fill in water, but I was recording this as I was getting really tired, and I was also, at this time, I was also cooking up a bunch of stone. If you remember back towards the early co-op episodes, when we were over in the hovel, there was a mountain that was like a red brick mountain. It was redstone. Not redstone like redstone, but red cobblestone when you break it. And I decided that I want to make a building out of that. So off screen I had gone and I tore up a large chunk of a red mountain. And I'm actually, while I'm doing this, the furnace is running and I'm cooking up some stone. I'm also cooking up some clay. I honestly don't know which is cooking right now, but cooking some clay, cooking some redstone, so that I can have some red brick, and I can also have some red stone brick. And that's a strange distinction to make, but I think it's going to add a lot to the look, because everything is gray, well, or beige. Really, I guess the sand is beige. Everything is very gray here in the dry dock area, so I wanted something that would bring out some color and bring out some vibrance in this area. So it didn't look so much like a rundown, derelict facility. We do eventually have to build a outfitting yard. So when the ship leaves this dry dock, it's not going to be complete. And ships don't usually leave their dry dock complete. A ship will leave the dry dock mostly complete, and then it'll go to an outfitting yard. And the outfitting yard will finish all of the little bits and pieces that they don't do in the dry dock. A lot of finish work, especially on sailing ships, woodwork in the cabins, or outfitting of the spars up on the mast, things like that. That usually isn't done in the dry dock. It's usually done once the ship is afloat. So we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to have to build another dock in order to have an outfitting yard. And here I'm just cutting down the front of the dry dock, and now we get an idea of starting to get an idea of just how big this dry dock really is going to be. And I'm starting to wonder how much water I'm going to need to fill this dry dock. I'm going to probably have to do some tests about how much water is required to fill any particular volume, because then I have to create the equal volume basically of this dry dock underground so that I can pump it in and out with those red power pumps. And I actually have to leave room for the pump. The pumps are not going to be able to get every last drop of water out. So we're going to have to always presume there's going to be a small amount of water sitting in the bottom, which is true in many cases. Not today. Modern dry docks are dry. Older dry docks weren't so dry. So it sort of makes sense. I'm thinking that we're going to build some sailing ships. True, because it sort of fits in the theme here. But I'm thinking, because of my character is in a very steampunky outfit here, we're going to go sort of sail steampunk style for some of our ships. So maybe this is the era where sailing ships are starting to die and steamships are starting to make an appearance. So this dry dock is going to sort of fit for both. We have this big blast furnace and coke oven that could cook up all of the steel that we need to build our ships in steampunk style. And we also have all the logs and all the wood necessary for our sailing ships. So it's going to kind of work out best of both worlds for us. And I'm finally starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel here, clearing out all of this sand. Now, for those of you that keep asking, where is Stocko? Where is Stocko? Stocko was having problems with his internet service provider, and these episodes are here so that you have something to watch and kind of see what is going on. You guys had asked to see our building. Some of it we still do off screen, but I would have usually done something like this off screen, especially this carving out. But with Stocko not being around, not able to record with me over the weekend, I felt like coming in and doing this wasn't such a bad idea. Yes, you have to watch it, but, well, you don't have to, I guess. You can skip. But it gives you something to see and kind of see how things are changing and taking shape. For those of you that follow Stocko on his Facebook, you know that he's starting to get service back and things are starting to smooth out for him. And so this coming weekend, we'll actually be able to probably record some and get some of this sorted out. I just flew off to grab some more cobblestone because, well, I ran out of cobblestone again. I know that's shocking, but that's the truth. Now, some have pointed out I could have used several different devices to cut out this dry dock. I could have used a quarry, I could have used a filler, I could have used a turtle. I definitely could have used a turtle in here. But while those things are great, they wouldn't have, oh there, I did a terrible job of walling myself in for no apparent reason whatsoever. While those things are great and they would have certainly accomplished the task, I would have had to build them, and I hadn't built them before. And I still want to build most of my machines in the co-op first. Now, I did make an exception for the drill, because the drill is relatively simple, and I got to build stock 01 anyway. Same with the backpack. So we'll build those again in the co-op for Stocko. And there we go. There's, well, except for that little piece over here on the bottom. That's the size of our dry dock, and you can see just how giant this dry dock really is. Now, this is where the crane that we finished at the end of episode 2 drops the logs down. So now what I'm doing is I'm preparing a log receiving area. So the giant logs will come down, and now we have to store them. We want to store them out of the weather. Now the logs are certainly going to be longer than this small space when you think about chopping down a giant tree. But think that we cut these logs as they come down. I mean, our crane isn't super strong. It's also perched on the edge of a giant cliff. So you'd want to be really careful. Here I am just failing terribly to get stairs in place. I finally got mad and I just put a bunch of straight fir blocks across the back, because then it was easier for me to put the stairs on. So we're going to presume that our giant jungle trees, they're sawn up into small enough chunks to be dropped down and then stored in our little storage facility here. And it keeps the wood dry, and it also gives easy access into what's going to be a sawmill. And I do know if I get an electric chainsaw, I'd be able to cut through the wood faster, but I really can't be bothered to build an electric chainsaw. So now when the log is dropped down, it hits the track, and some sort of cart system, not a mine cart, but some sort of flatbed cart, would catch the log, bring the log along, and then it would dump it in underneath this cover, where it could be rolled into position and stored. I'm just cleaning out the dirt and laying in cobblestone. This is going to come back and bite me again, because I'm going to end up wanting to make everything a little bit deeper. And it is a pretty simplistic building. It's not a lot of fun to look at, but it's an important building in my opinion, because you do want to keep your wood dry, especially if you're going to be using it as part of a build. And now I'm putting down a backstop so that the little carts have something to hit against and prevent them from running away and damaging some other part of our dry dock area. Now I'm just cleaning out and laying down the cobblestone that we've decided on for our ground. A little bit of light just to make sure we can see what's going on. And then I decided, looking at it, it just wasn't deep enough. We're going to need a lot of wood for any particular ship, especially considering the size of this dry dock. So I decided I needed to go back a couple more blocks. And cutting into the hill, it just works. The hill's there, it provides perfect coverage or cover for our logs. And why not use it, right? I mean, eventually maybe we'll tear some more of this down and then we'll have to build another half of this building, but I doubt it. We're pretty deep down in this hill. So I felt pretty safe just knocking back 2 blocks and calling that part of this log house. And I'm laying upside down steps because otherwise it just looked too abrupt of a transition between the flat roof and the stepped roof. Now I went and got the red rock bricks, and I'm trying to make sure I say it properly there. You can see the coloring of that red rock. I really do like it. It really changes the look of the area. And this is where we're going to build our lumber mill. Now there is an industrial lumber mill or industrial woodcutter, and that will eventually go in here. I just haven't built one. So we're going to do the next best thing. We're going to sort of create the illusion of a little lumber facility until we can go and bring in the industrial lumber cutter, wood cutter thingy. And I'm cutting back 2 blocks into the cliff again, just to give us some depth to our building. Otherwise it just felt too shallow. And we find more tin. I think that really is tin this time. When in doubt, take the ore. Actually, just take the ore. Don't even doubt. And this does create sort of a condition where I could go and I could hollow back 2 blocks in the coke oven and blast furnace without fear of it looking strange or off, because it would feel like it was just a natural extension. Now here I'm digging down a little pit because I was thinking, well, what would you do? You'd run your logs along a saw blade buried in a pit. And what would you do to protect that pit? Well, originally I was going to try to build a saw blade, but I decided it was a little bit too difficult to build a saw blade. Instead, I'm going to build a cage. The saw blade will be inside the cage somewhere. And then we'll put these are cut iron blocks, and I'm just using panels to create a little like cave or little tunnel that the wood would be pushed through, and then it would hit the saw blade and be cut. And I'm laying down tracks so that there's a way to push the log along. I'm not really sure if I'm going to keep the tracks, but right now they look kind of neat. And then that little cut I made there was to allow for the really long ones. They can just kind of push their way into the coke oven and blast furnace area in the event that they have some super long logs. Now the nice thing about this stone block is that it can be used just the same way as the regular stone, the red stone and the regular stone. Now here I cut the corners off because if every building is square, it starts to look kind of strange. So I cut the corners to kind of create a rounded feel. And I might come back with cut blocks and add in a little bit of decoration to these corners, just to round them out a little bit better, make them look a little bit nicer. Now you can kind of see off on the right, I'm laying down a bunch of jungle logs. I'd gone wood cutting up in the jungle. And I got a bunch of jungle logs so that I could lace them in and make it look like we actually have some logs already ready to go, get sawn up and used as part of a ship. I did run out of fir, and that's why I'm not finishing the roof actually. I do have to go cut down another fir tree. While I was doing the lumberyard, I was cooking up the clay. Here is the clay brick, and you can see the difference between the clay brick and the red stone brick. And it does create a nice look, and I also went with the red brick here because if you look at that blast furnace back there, it sort of has the same kind of coloration, the different colored bricks in there. So it kind of felt like it fit right in with the blast furnace and the coke oven. So we're just replacing the walls with this red brick. Now we're going to keep the roof as cobblestone because I think I talked about it last time. I don't want to use wood on the roof of this place because this place is going to get very hot because of the blast furnace and the coke oven. So we're going to leave cobblestone as the roof. The other nice thing about both the red brick and the red stone brick is they can be used the same way that you use cobblestone, regular normal cobblestone. You can make stairs, you can make half blocks, you can do all of those things. So where with fur you can't use the saw on fur, the diamond saw cannot cut fur because it's considered part of the well, it's part of the Biomes XL, but for whatever reason that it's not coded to accept the diamond handsaw. This red stone can accept the diamond handsaw, and the red brick can accept the diamond handsaw. So I can make whatever shapes I desire. The same shape I can make with the regular gray stone, I can make it in the red stone and the stone brick. Red brick and red stone brick. I'm going to be confusing these and misstating these constantly because they're so close. Now you see me just building some stairs really quick out of the brick, so I can replace the upside down stairs that I had in all the entryways. Now I went and bone mealed a bunch of fir trees so that I would have some more fir so I could finish off this roof. So we don't want to leave that bit undone. Now we're just going to copy the roof as we had it on the shed over the logs. And I'm failing to put stairs in properly. Now we're going and we're moving. You can't really. Never mind. I'm building upside down stairs to go there. I had mentioned upside down stairs, or I'd mentioned being able to do stairs, and there we go, the upside down stairs. Here I'm digging out the last of the area in front of these two buildings that need to be replaced with cobblestone, just so that everything looks right. And here we go, going from our dockside with our big dockside crane over to the dry docks with our new coke and blast furnace building and our lumber mill and storage facility. You can start to see really and truly how big of a dry dock this is. It's a massive facility. Nice look inside and see all of our logs ready to be used. So until next time, this has been Dare Tubbers building a dry dock. Goodbye.